This is not a test. This is your emergency broadcast system announcing the commencement of Phatts TV, sanctioned by PA Phatts and the non-genetically proven son. Any and all words have been authorized during the show. There is nothing off limits. Nobody is restricted from watching and participating in the show. It is a free-for-all. Commencing at the siren, any and all discussions will be legal for an extended period of time. Sports, politics, and any and all controversial topics will be talked about. You have been warned. May God be with us all.
Good evening and welcome to Phatts TV on this Thursday night, October 8th. Sorry for the little delay. I can't stand this new way to get on YouTube. There's two ways for it to work. Last Thursday it worked one way. Tuesday it didn't work that way. I had to do it the other way. Tonight it didn't work that way, so I had to go back to the first way.
You're echoing.
And now I'm not echoey. Joining me as always is the non-genetically proven son, joining us from his underground bunker deep in the heart of central Pennsylvania.
Joe Biden's over here.
It's getting a little dark there in your bunker there.
Yeah, it is. Almost, it is fall. It does get dark by 7.
It does.
About 2 weeks ago, it got dark at about 7:45, I swear.
Yeah.
Now it's
Yep.
7.
I gotta tell you.
What do you got to tell me?
I'm fired up tonight.
Oh, yeah?
I am...
For last night's debate.
That's part of it.
Is it because of the fly on...
No, that had nothing to do with it, except for the stupid commentators on the Communist News Network and MSD-DNC. I get so sick and tired of progressives after a while. They're supposed to be the tolerant ones. They're not tolerant. If you listen to their, talking after last night's vice presidential debate, they can't say anything good about their own candidate, for crying out loud. They can only say negative about their other candidate that's running. Not their choice. It's disgusting to listen to.
I think the highlight of the debate was in about the first about 3 or 4 minutes when Pence said something. It sounds like a little bit like plagiarism. Joe Biden knows something about that.
That's right.
That was an amazing line.
That's right. Let me just say, number one, for your age, I'm very impressed that you watched the debate last night. I would say, for people your age, there might be about 12 of you in the whole world that watched that debate last night.
You think?
I'm majorly impressed that you took it upon yourself to watch the debate. So kudos to you.
In a way, I thought Pence sounded better.
Oh, he did. Pence clearly won that debate. And yes, Joe plagiarized back in 1988. I believe I played the clip on that show. The different news clippings. I played it before on our show. Yeah, he plagiarized, and I even made mention of that on my Facebook page when I brought up RFK and Neil Kinnock. Those are the two main guys that he plagiarized.
I saw something that, I was going to say Harris lied about something, but I'm like, wait, she lied about everything.
She did lie. She did lie about a lot of stuff.
The Abraham Lincoln thing.
Yes, let's talk about that. That was in my topics to talk about.
Okay.
So she said that in 1864, Abraham Lincoln had a Supreme Court opening approximately 20 days before the election, and that he said he wasn't filling the seat because he wanted to wait till after the election to let the winner of the election fill the seat.
Yeah.
I spent 3 hours researching that.
I was thinking about it. I'm like, at first I thought that was true.
Well, the first part of it is true. There was a Supreme Court opening about 20 days before the election.
Right.
I could not find anywhere where he said he wasn't filling it because he wanted to wait for the results of the election. Let's look at the election of 1864. I have it here. You can't see it on the screen. But the Electoral College, here was the vote in 1864. He was running against a gentleman by the name of George McClellan. George McClellan.
I guess we know who wins.
George McClellan got 21 electoral votes.
Okay.
Abraham Lincoln got 212.
Nice.
Now, I know there was, Frank Luntz wasn't alive back then to do some, polling, some interactive polling with stuff like he does now. But I think Lincoln kind of knew he was going to win the presidency. He was going to get reelected. Let's remember, the South has seceded by then, so no Southern states voted in that election. So yeah, the Northern states were going to vote for a Democrat? Really? Really? Come on, Camilla. Come on. Interesting.
Common sense back then.
What?
People had common sense back then.
Yes, interesting. They're in the state of Nebraska. Lincoln got 79% of the vote.
Mm-hmm.
McClellan got 17, almost 18%. And there was a gentleman with the last name of Cheeseborough. Cheeseborough that got 2.5%.
Hey, there was something that you posted on Facebook that did not come true. Let's speak facts.
Yes, I didn't hear her say that once.
No, she did not.
It was let's speak truth.
What was the other thing Pence said? You're entitled to your opinions, but you're not entitled to your own facts.
Yes, that saying's been around for a little while.
I like that one too.
The Cheeseborough's first name begins with an E. So if anybody wants to look up Cheeseborough's name,
Ernest.
Feel free.
Ernest.
And put it in our message board so we can all see. But yes, Abe Lincoln did not fill that seat because the Senate wasn't in session then. The seat couldn't be filled. I mean, yeah, he could have put somebody on the bench until the Senate came in. There probably was no cases to be argued in front of the Supreme Court. The day the Senate went back into session, he made his nomination. And by the way, back then, most of good old Abe's nominations, which he made like 5 or 6 of them during his presidency, all but I believe one was confirmed on the day he made the nomination. On the day he made the nomination.
That could happen again.
Yeah, you don't see that crap going around anymore. The other thing she lied about, the big lie, that keeps going around and around and around and around and around, is taxes. That Trump paid $750 on his taxes. Okay. Now, for those...
Lesson.
What?
Tax lesson.
Yes. For those of you that don't know my other life, besides doing this and broadcasting for the Pennsylvania Junior Bowlers Tour, I actually have a degree in accounting. Surprising, isn't it?
Ooh.
Yeah. And I have a degree in business administration. Surprising, I know.
As boring.
Surprising.
Interesting.
So, guess what is one of the things that I know how to do? Taxes. Now, obviously, Trump is involved with a lot of corporations.
Right.
Okay? There's two main types of corporations, a C Corp and an S Corp. What's the difference, you ask? Well, I'm glad you asked. You were supposed to ask. You were kind of supposed to,
What's the difference?
When it comes to taxes, an S Corp, the shareholders of the corporation pay the tax. Okay? They'll have K-1s on their tax returns, and the shareholders pay the tax. So basically, if you're an S corporation, you don't have many shareholders for the company, typically. Like, it's not like Penn National Gaming that has shares of common stock and there's, 6 million different people that own shares of common stock. Those are going to be C corporations. C corporations pay their own tax. It's just like they're a human being filling out their own tax returns. You will not find that tax information on the shareholder's tax return. Let me repeat. C corporations pay their own tax. Now, I'm sure President Trump makes money other ways than besides his corporations. And he is president of the United States. He does get paid, even though he donates all of it except for $1 every quarter. Because he's required to take payment. He donates the rest. But he still has to show all that money is... What?
He gets paid $1.
Yes. But he still has to show all that money as income. Okay? For those of you that itemize your taxes, there's a place on your Schedule A for donations. That's where Trump would put those donations. But he still has to show all that income. Now, I'm sure he makes millions of dollars doing other things as well in his businesses. There's a list of criteria, and I'm not going to go through them all, but I'll guarantee Trump fits in this criteria where he has to make estimated payments quarterly. Like most people do who own a business. When I owned my business with my father years and years ago, I had to make quarterly tax payments. And I can tell you right now, our sales per year was probably what Donald Trump's sales probably are in 3 minutes.
Yeah.
And I had to make quarterly payments. Okay? So Trump is making quarterly payments. Okay? Now, one of two things probably happened. Either A, his quarterly payments didn't come up to what he owed and he had to pay $750.
Right.
Or, more likely, he took an extension on his tax returns, which just about everybody who owns a business, especially, somebody who's got a shit ton of stuff like he does, you can get an extension through September 30th, and you still have to make your estimated payments, but how do I want to put this? How did I say this when I wrote it up on Facebook last night? Oh, so, you make your estimated payments and you get paid, you pay in too much. So you're entitled to a refund. Okay? Go back and look at your tax returns. I'll wait.
I'll wait.
All right, you got them?
Yep.
On that line that says refund, okay, you have a choice. You could either take your refund or you could apply it to a future year's tax. That's what Trump most likely did. He took the millions of dollars that he would have got as his refund, or thousands of dollars or whatever, and applied it to the following year's tax prepayments. Understand, kiddies? See how this works? So yes, he had to pay $750 probably at that bottom that he had to send in Uncle Sam, but it's not taking into account all the prepayments that he made before that.
Right.
So, Kamala, in one hand, yes, told the truth. He owed $750, but it's really a lie because he paid in millions and millions of dollars more.
Right.
Okay? Then she also brought up that he owes, what was it, $400 or $500 million to people. And nobody knows who he owes money to. That is another big, fat lie. I hate it when people lie. I want you to understand something, Camilla, and I know you watch this show. I know all your cronies in D.C. watch this show. The President of the United States, no matter who the President is, has to disclose everything financially about his life. Okay? It's a presidential disclosure form. On that form, it shows everybody he owes money to. Guess what? That form is public. I have a copy of it. What do you know? I searched it. I found it. It's not that hard to find. I can tell you everybody that he owes money to. And yes, he does owe $400 or $500 million. But it's all the lending institutions. That's how these things work. So, you lied again, Camilla. We know who he owes money to. Goddamn progressives and their lies. All they do is lie, 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 lie. She said that Joe never said we were going to ban fracking.
Yeah, they said that multiple times, actually.
Do I need to show all the clips? When he said we're banning fracking.
I took it upon myself to look where fracking is most done in the United States.
Oh, I wonder what state you came up with.
Western Pennsylvania, Eastern Ohio.
Yes, what do you know?
So you would really think, oh wow, Pennsylvania's gonna go red out there.
Yes. What do you know?
I actually was interested. I was like, where is fracking even popular? Because I know he said it in his speech in Harrisburg, but I'm like, I don't even know.
Yes. I bet no progressive out there could even tell me what fracking is.
I actually had to look up what it was.
Oh.
So, I had no idea what it was.
So why don't you tell all the progressives that are watching what fracking is?
I'm pretty sure it's something about, like, pressurizing, like, rocks to be able to get oil and natural gas.
Something like that, yeah.
Like, breaking up rocks, like, with pressure and stuff like that.
Yeah, something like that.
I kind of vaguely read it over. I was
yes.
like, oh, okay. So it's meant for getting natural resources.
Yes. Yes. That is. Now, Camilla also said something last night that scared the living hell out of me.
Uh-oh.
You may have heard me scream all the way up in your bunker.
Up in my bunker?
Yeah, because you're north of me, so you're up.
And a little higher in elevation.
And a little higher in elevation. She said, and I quote, "The work that I've done in the California Department of Justice is a model for the United States." Ah! Ladies and gentlemen, do we really want the California justice system in the rest of the United States? Think about that for a minute. That's what we're going to get if we elect the Biden-Kamala team. Remember, she's the one that said a Harris administration with Joe Biden as president. She's the one that said it, not me. Not the kid in the bunker. Kamala said that. If you don't believe me, go look it up. Go look it up. It was in that part where she said, I'm the only one on stage here that, fought in court or, because she was the Attorney General of California. She's the only one that was on that stage that was in law enforcement.
Right.
Okay. Sure. Mike Pence wasn't. Mike Pence, I believe, was a lawyer before he went into politics. And Lord knows the moderator who wrote a book on Nancy Pelosi. No, she's not neutral at all. She wasn't, in law enforcement. But you know what, Camilla? There was something else you were the only one on stage that did this. You want to know what that is, Camilla? You are the only one on stage that spread your legs for a married man. That's how you got your start of climbing the ladder.
Thinking about the debate, there was a drinking game I was told about the vice president debate. You have to take a drink for every time they say, "Thank you, Vice President. Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Thank you, Vice President."
The whole world would have been drunk.
Yeah.
She
was complaining about, I didn't get equal time.
Yeah, she admonished the vice president for, talking about Judge Amy Barrett's Catholicism. And she said, Joe Biden is a practicing Catholic, and he would only be the second Catholic president, which is true. He would be. The first being JFK. But do you really think Joe Biden is a practicing Catholic? Really? Do you think an actual practicing Catholic would be pro-abortion? Just to name one.
No.
If Joe Biden is a practicing Catholic, I am actually Tony DePope.
So you related to that one person you told me whose father was like the
Yes.
kingpin in New York City or whatever?
Yes. I'm Pope Anthony during the day and mafia crime boss Tony DePope at night.
Where are you the kingpin of? Wilmsdorf?
Berks County.
Berks County?
Berks County.
You're going to have to compete with the Amish.
God, that debate. And she lied, right from the start.
Let's say everything she almost said.
Right from the start. She talks about putting the United States back in the Paris Climate Accords. Really? You know how much money that cost the citizens of the United States?
I hear getting us out of it was one of the best things we ever did.
It is. She talked about, Trump's healthcare plan takes everybody who has pre-existing conditions off. That's not true. That's not true at all. That's a lie. All the Green New Deal stuff she likes. Who the hell's going to pay for all that? They don't tell you that. And of course, the one question they don't answer is, are you going to pack the Supreme Court?
Yeah, they still didn't answer that.
I have something here if I can find it quick.
I'm sure Trump will ask Biden that again if they have a debate.
Well, we'll talk about that. I made my AOC flag. Socialism, number one. I made it because my boss always jokes to me about how I love AOC, which obviously is a joke. And I had to leave my house today where I work because I had to give blood for an upcoming doctor's appointment. I had to get some blood work done, and he said, "Oh, you're really going to an AOC rally?" So I made a little flag.
What, she's going to tell you we need to eat children or whatever?
Oh, yes. And stop cows from farting and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Let's talk about lies a little bit. So, of course, the mainstream media comes out with all these polls, and we've talked about polls ad nauseum on this show.
Right.
So there was one out from the New York Times and Marist that showed Biden up 13 in Pennsylvania.
Right.
And up 1 in Ohio.
Right.
Okay. Here's how I could tell you it's false. Okay? And I really, really, really want you to think about this for a second. Because it makes complete sense. Once again, the message board is live if anybody would like to chime in and say something. But anyway. For those of you that live in the state of Pennsylvania, basically, what?
I do.
Okay. Basically, every time you turn on the TV, every third commercial is a Biden commercial.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. In the state of Ohio, he's hardly doing any ad buying in Ohio. If he was up 13 points in Pennsylvania, why is he spending so much money buying ads in Pennsylvania? If he was running neck and neck with Trump in Ohio, why isn't he buying ad space in Ohio? There's an article that there's 6 states where he's spending 90 to 95% of his ad money. You could guess the 6 states: Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, Florida, North Carolina, Arizona. That's where he's advertising. That's the states where he's close. There is no chance in Hades that he's beating Trump by 1 point in Ohio. Not a stone cold chance in hell. Or else there would be Biden ads all over the TVs in Ohio. If I try to watch a YouTube video, I got to deal with a Biden ad.
Trust me, I know.
A friend of mine told me last week that, you know, he's got a DVR like everybody basically does now, and all he has to do is press a button and it goes through the commercials when you're rewatching a show. But it stops if it's a Biden commercial.
Interesting.
How about that? And you're forced to, well, it's forced to play. You're not forced to watch it, obviously.
Right.
You know, you could go out and, you know, drink a bottle of Jack while Biden is talking. But yes, it doesn't fast forward straight through the commercials anymore. It stops at the Biden ad. And once the Biden ad's done, then it skips back to the show. How interesting is that? How interesting.
Say, I don't see many Trump commercials.
No, because there isn't none. Because he's going to win Pennsylvania. I'm telling you. It's close, but he's going to win. Have faith. Have faith.
I think the fracking thing could really push him over the edge.
Yeah, sure.
You know, maybe give us some more votes out west.
Absolutely. So, news broke today that good old Nancy, I'll read it to you, is going to convene. Nancy Pelosi and another congressman will hold a press conference tomorrow at 10:15 to discuss the introduction of a commission on presidential capacity to discharge the powers and the duties of the presidential office. So, they're going to try to potentially use the 25th Amendment of the Constitution to get Trump out of there. Now, most people would just go off and say, well, they can't do that. Guess what? They can. It's not going to happen, but they can. If you go to the 25th Amendment, which of course I did.
I'm sure you did.
Of course I did. If you go to Section 4 of the 25th Amendment, right, it says, whenever the Vice President and a majority of either, so now it's going to list a couple different things. So the Vice President and a majority of either the principal officers of the executive departments, so that means his cabinet, or other body as Congress may provide. So, yes, Congress could get a bunch of people together and recommend that the president gets removed using the 25th Amendment. It could actually happen, but the vice president has to say, I concur. Do you really think Pence is going to go along with this?
I don't know if any vice president ever would.
You would hope not. Now, supposedly, if you keep reading this, Trump could basically, right after it, send a note to the Speaker of the House, and the President pro temp of the Senate says, no, I'm fine, I'm back. So it's just another ploy. Now, interestingly, Pence is supposed to be at a campaign rally in Indiana tomorrow. He canceled it. With no explanation. So it's going to be interesting to see what plays out tomorrow. So stay tuned. But yes, feel free to read the 25th Amendment. It's a pretty good read. It is a pretty good read. Trump was on Fox Business this morning, and I actually watched this interview because I watch Fox Business in the morning, where he said there was breaking news either late last night or early this morning that the next presidential debate is going to be virtual.
Oh, God.
And he said, if it's that, I'm not participating.
Fair.
Why should he participate? I mean, if it's going to be virtual, Biden's camp may know the questions ahead of time. Now, you could say that won't happen. But if you listen to the debate last night, the moderator said, nobody knows these questions ahead of time except for me. There's a report out there that they were given in advance to the Biden-Harris campaign. Don't know if it's true, but there's a report out there. So if he has the questions ahead of time, he could just read off of a teleprompter. He could read off of flashcards.
Right.
The only way to prevent that is if each camp could have one representative from the other camp wherever they're having the debate. So if, Biden would be in his basement, of course. So there'd have to be a member of the Trump team there. And vice versa. So it looks like as of this moment, the debate is a no-go for next Thursday. We will have to see. Both of them are talking about doing some type of event on their own now. So we'll see. Stay tuned. Stay tuned. It's going to be an interesting couple of weeks leading up to Election Day, which, a reminder for all of you, on Election Day, I will be live streaming starting at 5 o'clock and going God knows how long. At least till midnight, probably longer. This is the place you want to be on election night. I will be covering the key counties in all the different states, in just about every county in Pennsylvania. And we will compare it to prior elections to give you a good idea of how each state is going. Pennsylvania, Florida. Ohio's going to be a good bellwether to see how much Trump is going to win it by. He is going to win Ohio. But if he only wins it by 2, he's in trouble. If he wins it by 8 like he did last time, I think he's pretty safe. North Carolina, we'll see how he's doing in Virginia. He's going to jump out to a lead in Virginia because the southern half of the state always comes in first, and then the northern half comes in, which is all blue. So we'll see how that's playing out. New Hampshire, which used to be a red state, it's now kind of purplish. The 2nd district in Maine, that one electoral vote could decide everything. It could very well decide everything. We'll see how he's doing in Wisconsin and Michigan. I know all the counties to look at. I've been studying this. On election day, have whatever you want on your TV. Have Fox. Have the Communist News Network, also known as CNN. Have MSNBC. But on your computer, have Phatts TV. With the sound on. With me and the non-genetically proven son. And yes, he's non-genetically proven. Although I have more an inkling that he actually is my son because he watched the debate on his own.
What is that supposed to mean?
Again, there's probably only... You're 20 years old. There's probably only 12 of you in the world that watch that debate. Okay, 13. The fact that you did it without me telling you to do it, or me asking you to do it, says some of my chromosomes may have actually gotten in there.
Every person my age that watched it just wants to make fun of the fly.
Yes. Who cares?
And there's a Twitter account with that fly.
Of course there is.
And the fly goes, I got the best seat in the house.
Yes. And of course, somebody on CNN or MSNBC said, the fly is the mark of Satan.
Oh my God.
Because Satan controls the flies. It's in the Bible. So now we're calling Pence Satan.
Yeah, apparently.
Seriously? Seriously? We're calling him Satan now. Again, they can't say anything good about their candidates. They can only say bad things about the person they don't want to win. They can't say anything good about their own side. All they can do is slam the other side. So before we transition into sports.
So much for Thursdays being about sports.
Well, we had a lot of politics to talk about. Before we transition, I want to talk about Penn State.
We are.
Penn State. And how people lie about stuff. So, I don't know if you guys from Pennsylvania that watch knew, but the governor came out with new guidelines for people going to events.
Right.
I'm not going to go through all the different steps for indoor and outdoor, but I will say this. For the size of Beaver Stadium, with how many people that seats,
right,
you're allowed to have 7,500 people in the stands.
Right.
Now, Penn State, along with, I think the whole Big Ten, isn't allowing any fans in the seats, and I think that's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I got into a conversation with somebody on Facebook yesterday who didn't think it was ridiculous. Who says, yes, you can't allow fans in Beaver Stadium. Now, as I have a college student as my co-host, let me ask you a question. All right? So, they choose 7,500 students. We'll say students only, because that's what it should be. It should be students only. If they allowed 7,500 students admission into the stadium, let's just say upperclassmen, juniors and seniors only, let's just say. Unless if they can't get 7,500 amongst juniors and seniors, then they open it up to sophomores and then freshmen. And they required everybody in attendance to wear a mask all the time while they're in the stadium. Are students going to wear the mask?
I guess.
Well, what do you think?
No.
Like
they want to get in, but I feel like they'd come off at some point.
Okay. So.
But if they actually enforced it, yeah, they would keep it on.
Yes. And obviously, the place seats over 100,000. They could easily spread out 7,500 people.
Yeah.
It's not that difficult. But here's my real question. Where do you think the students would have a better chance of wearing a mask and not getting COVID? Again, assuming masks stop the spread of COVID. In Beaver Stadium, outdoors where it's enforced, or in a dorm room, or in off-campus apartments, having a watch party for Penn State football. Do you really think they're wearing masks if they're doing that?
No.
Do you wear a mask when you're in your apartment?
Never.
Never. Nobody does. Unless if you're maybe test positive and you're forced to. Who knows? Right? If you're up there, if you're test positive, you have to move into a special dorm until you don't test positive anymore or something like that.
If you live on campus, yes.
Yeah. Yeah. That's, yeah.
Off campus, they can't really do anything. I mean, they recommend you're not supposed to leave your apartment, but
Yes.
I mean, like, they can't
Right.
make.
Right. So that's how we're going to dovetail into our sports for the week. Sports. We're talking about Penn State football, which I believe after this weekend is only 2 weekends away.
Woo!
We get Big Ten football.
Yay!
Hey, better than
It relies on one game.
better than not having Big Ten football.
The whole season relies on the second game of the season. If we lose that, doesn't matter anymore.
On Halloween night.
If we lose that, experts are saying we play Florida in, like, the Peach Bowl.
Yeah.
I guess that's not a terrible thing. I think Penn State Florida would be a pretty good game. But
Yeah.
I want to see Penn State Alabama or Penn State Clemson.
Yeah. I get it.
Or who's the fourth team that's probably going to make it at Penn State? Oregon, maybe?
Probably still Ohio State.
If Ohio State made it and they lose and don't win the Big Ten,
Hey, it's possible, especially with Oklahoma having a down year this year. and Texas already having a loss to TCU, and they may have a second loss this week when they play Oklahoma, that a conference gets in 2 teams.
Oregon.
They may not be in it soon enough to have enough games to qualify. Remember, they're not starting till the first weekend in November.
Oh, about to say, you're forgetting about the pack.
So, if they're not allowed in, then you really just have the SEC, the ACC, the Big Ten, and any of the other schools not in the Power 5, like BYU.
And Georgia, because they're at least going to make the SEC conference game.
You would think, but they still have to play. They do have to play Florida, so it would be the winner of that game, I guess.
That's a really good game.
That should be a good game. So to recap last week's Phatts Fantastic Five, the man in the bunker
Positive record.
went 3-2.
My Auburn pick looked awful.
In order, he had Auburn +7 going to Georgia. He had New Orleans -4 playing at Detroit. Now, you knew New Orleans was good once Detroit got up by more than 10. Because basically they blow any lead where they're winning by 10 or more. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. He had Seattle -6. Now, Seattle scored very late in the first half on a long touchdown, whether they scored on that pass play or not. But they got down the field off of a bomb to make it 17-9, and it was still 17-9 in the fourth quarter. And then both teams scored a bunch of points. So you
keep betting against Seattle and you keep losing.
So you squeaked out a win with that. You had the over in the Eagles-San Francisco game.
That game pissed me off.
Which could have went over all the way up to the last play of the game.
Yeah.
And on Monday night, you had Green Bay -6.5.
All right.
So you went 3-2. I want to talk about, before we reveal what my picks were last week, I want to talk about the shitty luck that I'm having betting this year.
Aww.
Shitty luck. So Monday night, as you know, there was 2 games. Right. You had Kansas City and New England, and you had the regularly scheduled Monday night game, Green Bay and Atlanta. So I was trying to figure out how I wanted to bet them. So what I did was I ended up taking a parlay. Now, for those of you that are not gamblers, what a parlay is when you play more than one team, and to win, you have to get every team that you bet correct, but then you get extra money for it. So, like, if you were to play a 3-team parlay, for every dollar you bet, if you win 6. It pays 6-1 for 3 teams. So I played a 2-team parlay. I played Kansas City just to win the game. Not against the spread, just to win the game. And I played the team total of Green Bay only. So not Green Bay's total score and Atlanta's total score added together. Green Bay's total score.
Right.
So, if you didn't watch the game, let me recap pretty quick. They got out to a quick lead, 7-0. They've so far this year, Green Bay has scored on their first possession every game. They marched right down the field on their second possession. They had the ball, 3rd and goal, and the guy catches a pass and kind of trips and caught it on the half-yard line and didn't even somehow slide into the end zone. So he didn't score. So they went for it on 4th down, and they handed the ball off, and the guy got stuffed. So no points there. Move on to the second quarter. They score a touchdown, and Mason Crosby misses the extra point. So.
One of the most reliable kickers.
Yes. So the rest of the game was the rest of the game. Green Bay ended up scoring 30. The team total for Green Bay, which I had the over, was 30.5. 30.5.
that extra point.
An extra point, if they kick a field goal on their second drive, if the guy just slides into the end zone, all you got to do is touch. The ball just has to touch the line and your score. And it didn't do that. That's my shitty luck so far this year. The week before, I had the over 46 in the Philly-Cincinnati game. Over 46.5. They tied it 23.
Right.
They didn't score 1 point in overtime.
Right.
That's my shitty luck this year. It sucks. So recapping my plays from last week, I went 2-3 again.
Extending the lead.
I had Alabama minus 18 against Texas A&M. That was a winner. I had Jacksonville getting 3 on the road to Cincinnati. That was a loser. Me and the non-genetically proven son went head-to-head on the Dolphins-Seattle game. So obviously I lost because I had the Dolphins.
Stop picking against Seattle. You'll learn.
I had Baltimore minus 13.5. They squeaked out a 14-point victory. And I knew this game was going to be a loser. I had the over in the Kansas City-New England game at 52. I knew it was going to be a loser as soon as they said Cam Newton was COVID positive and he wasn't going to play.
Well.
But can't change it because that was already one of my picks. The over under, it fell 5 points as soon as they announced that he wasn't playing. It went from 52 to 47 like that.
Right.
So yeah, pretty much knew that was going to be a loser. So, the non-genetically proven son is 13-7. Pretty good. Pretty good record. Pretty good. Here is his picks for this week. He took 2 college games. In the Red River rivalry, say that 10 times really fast. He has Oklahoma giving 2 points. If I was going to play this game, we would be going head to head against each other.
Oklahoma's home.
They are not home.
They were?
That game is always played on neutral field.
Oh, well, it says at Oklahoma.
It's always they're the designated home team this year.
Okay.
But it's always on a neutral field, but there's going to be no people in the stands. It's at the Texas State Fair or something like that.
Okay.
But there's no fans this year.
2 straight losses, I believe.
Yep.
If they win this game, they will probably win the Big 12.
Well, they would certainly have the head-to-head tiebreaker against Texas.
As long as they don't just basically do anything stupid the rest of the season, they're going to win the Big 12, and at least that's something.
Yeah, they might win the Big 12. Depends how other teams do.
So I think this is a game that they're really going to try hard in.
Oh, yeah. Oh, they always try. They could be winless, and they're going to try hard against Texas.
So I think the 2 points is... It might be 40-something to 30-something.
It could very well be. It could very well be. You took Georgia minus 12.5 at home against Tennessee. Rocky Top.
So I played Tennessee, now I'm betting against Tennessee.
Yes. You don't even know your picks.
Tennessee's that good. I mean, I thought Auburn would keep it, somewhat close. Georgia blew them out of the water.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of figuring Georgia's going to blow Tennessee out of the water.
Yes. I mean, if Auburn played Tennessee on a neutral field, Auburn's favored.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And then in the pros, you took Cleveland as a home underdog, getting 2.5 playing Indianapolis.
I think Cleveland can win this game outright.
Oh, they easily could win this game outright.
So,
easily.
That's why I picked it.
You played the under in the New York Giants-Dallas game at under 54.5. I think of all your plays, that's the best one there.
I think that's a really high number.
Yes.
I mean, granted, both defenses suck. But the New York Giants' offense is just as bad.
Yes.
And I don't see Dallas putting up 40, so...
Probably not. Now...
I could see a 20-10 game, kind of.
Because I said that's of all your picks, that's the one I like the most. You're going to go 4-1, and that'll be your loss.
It'll be 55-30.
Yeah. Yes. And once again, you are playing Seattle on Sunday night at home against Minnesota, laying the 7.
At home.
Yep.
I think a touchdown is. I think they'll win by more. Minnesota, do they have a win yet?
Yep. They won last week.
1-3.
Yes.
So.
All right. So now let's look at my putrid picks.
I'll just keep playing Seattle until they lose. They'll lose.
Let's look at mine. And the man in the bunker has no idea what my picks were.
Kansas State.
He has no clue. Now, I'm 7-13, very putrid.
So you're doing great.
So I wanted to focus then a little more on college games this week. I actually could have picked 5 college games.
Do I see Alabama, Mississippi over 60? No.
Yes. So I have Kansas State on the road as more than a touchdown underdog against TCU.
Okay, that's a lot.
That's a typically close game. TCU just came off of their Super Bowl, basically, against Texas. Probably going to be a little bit of a letdown. I think Kansas State could keep that game close. My favorite pick of my 5 is this game. I love Notre Dame this week. Giving 20.5 to Florida State.
God,
Florida State might lose to Scranton State School for the deaf if they played them right now.
Wow, the fact that Florida State was so good like in 2015.
Yes.
And then their quarterback got hurt. Ever since then, they suck.
Yes. Now, Notre Dame's coming off of, some COVID, so you never know about that.
Right.
But if they're fine health-wise, they will blow out Florida State. I have the over in the Alabama-Mississippi game of 69.5, very high total.
Why in the...
Well...
Do you expect Alabama to put up 50?
Yes, actually.
You think Mississippi's going to put up more than 20?
Yes. For some reason, Mississippi... Alabama always scores a lot on Mississippi. Last year, they scored 62 on them.
Right.
The year before, they scored in the 50s on them.
Right.
Mississippi either scores very little on Alabama or actually scores a lot. 2 years ago, when Alabama scored 50-some, Mississippi scored 30-some in that game. Mississippi, so far this year, is scoring points.
Okay.
They played Florida in week 1 and put 30-some up on Florida's defense.
Okay, Florida's pretty good.
And they're at home. Alabama's on the road. So I think that's going to be a very high-scoring game. I did not trust taking Alabama. They're giving 23 or something like that, so I didn't trust that.
6.
And then I went back to the pros, and I took 2 underdogs. Jacksonville getting 6.5. The problem is, we use Fox Bet for our lines, and right now there's a lot of games off the board because of COVID. There's some games that might get canceled this weekend. I liked Oakland against Kansas City, but that game's all off the board. Because Kansas City had a player test positive who, after last week's game against New England, he's on camera basically hugging Mahomes.
Oh.
So is Mahomes going to have COVID by the end of this week? Who knows? So I took Jacksonville getting 6.5 on the road against Houston. Houston's in disarray. They just fired their coach / general manager.
I didn't think he deserved to be fired.
I don't think he deserved to be fired as their coach. As their general manager, yes.
Okay. I mean, at least not yet. If they lose, if they lost to Jacksonville, yeah, I'd fire him then.
Yes.
But, we had 3 tough games to start. They probably should have won last week, but...
Could have. And my final pick, I'm taking the Washington football team, whose helmets look like Alabama, basically. as a home underdog against the Rams. Now, Washington's a pretty decent defensive team, and this to me is a bad spot for the Rams. 3 weeks ago they played on the East Coast. 2 weeks ago they played on the East Coast. Last week they played at home. This week they're going back to the East Coast. A lot of traveling. A lot of traveling in the last month for them.
Right.
And it's not like it's a division game. It's a conference game. You saw that they stank it up last week against the Giants.
Right.
They won, but they didn't even come close to covering. So I could see the Rams winning by 3 in this game. I could actually see Washington pulling out a victory in this game. So those are my picks. Hopefully I could get on track here.
Have a positive record.
Hopefully. So to go over them again before we wrap up the show, because Thursday Night Football is getting ready to start. The man in the bunker has Oklahoma -2, Georgia -12.5. Excuse me. Cleveland +2.5. The under in the Giants-Dallas game of 54.5 and Seattle -7. I have Kansas State getting 7.5. Notre Dame given 20.5. I have the over 69.5 in the Alabama-Mississippi game. I have Jacksonville +6.5 and Washington +7. Those are the Phatts Fantastic 5 for Week 5. Woo! Got one comment. Christine Goodman, where are all his yard signs? I'm assuming she's talking about you. Where are all your yard signs? I don't know where Biden's yard signs is. Like I said, I know I've seen 2 of them in Berks County.
I've seen a lot up there.
Well, yeah, but
I also live in kind of probably... Actually, I live probably more in a blue county than a red.
Yeah, you do.
So, at least in the general location I'm in, I'm sure if I go out 15 miles, I won't see as many.
Yeah.
But right where I am, yeah, there's a lot of them.
Yeah.
And I throw up every time I see one. Because I should just should I go print out little communist flags and put them next to them?
Yes.
Yeah. Communist, 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 communist.
You want my AOC flag?
That would be funny. Socialism #1.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, you guys have a wonderful weekend wherever your endeavors take you. I will be watching football. One of my horses runs Saturday, Wayno, in the 5th race at Keeneland. That's where he has his victory. When he broke his maiden, he won at Keeneland. So he's running back there. 5th race, he's the 4 horse. So positive vibes for Wayno. We'll see. Tough race. There's some decent horses in the race. He's trained by Steve Asmussen, and he's got another horse in that race that's a freaking monster. So hopefully he doesn't run to his potential, and hopefully Wayno does. Hopefully Wayno will learn to settle off the pace, which has been his problem his whole career. He wants to go for the lead. If he goes for the lead Saturday, he certainly ain't winning, because he doesn't really have the speed to get the lead. So if he rushes to get the lead, he's going to fade at the top of the stretch.
Right.
Yes. So, obviously on Tuesday, I'll report how Wayno did. Fingers crossed. And we'll talk more politics on Tuesday. You have anything to say from your bunker before we head on out?
I do not.
No final words?
No.
No? Nothing at all? Keep it wrapped. Keep it wrapped. Vote Trump.
Stay safe.
May the fly be with you.
Bye.
All right. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, where we go one.
We go all.
You say that with such enthusiasm.
We go all!
See you, ladies and gentlemen.